excited about. I'm actually really excited about this. Good morning, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Here we go. We are live. Good morning, good afternoon. I know you join in from all different time zones, all different areas, and I am so excited to be with you today. Mary, you are always like first to the pack, which I appreciate. Lisa, I've got my West Coast ladies on this morning, which is awesome because I know it's super early. Pen and paper ready. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We've got Elsie on. Good morning, friends. So we're switching it up a little bit. And part of what I wanted to do was add in some content for you on these daily morning lives that's more tactical. And I got so much feedback and so many comments last week from women on the Skyrocket Your Sales Challenge that women felt like they were struggling in some very specific areas with their sales process and with their business. Lori, good morning. I'm so glad you're here. Good morning. Good morning. Elizabeth, hey, how are you? I love seeing all my ladies here. So I'm going to be mixing it. You're still going to get, like, for those of you who are all about the quantum leap, all about the mindset, all about the mentality, we're still doing that. So just know that's still happening. And I want to add in for you some more tactical pieces. And today, actually, one of the biggest things I heard from women last week, and this is where I want to get some of your feedback, was so many women said they felt overwhelmed. And I just want to let me know in the comments, do you currently feel, and I know a lot of you who are here live right now, and I know that we've talked about being unavailable for overwhelm, but I just want to check in with you, especially if you're not one of my clients yet and you're on today. Is that something you struggle with? Is that something that's a challenge? Is feeling overwhelmed, feeling like there's not enough hours in the day, feeling like you're constantly like going. Okay, I'm seeing the hearts. Thank you. Rashida, good morning, or actually good afternoon for you. Morgana, good morning. This was one of the biggest struggle bus areas for me in my life for so many years. And it used to be my biggest challenge. And so today I actually want to talk with you specifically about why what you've been taught about how to manage your time as a woman is not actually the most powerful way to do it. Let's put it that way. And I'm going to teach you 3 key things that for me made a huge world of difference to help me go from feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, always behind, to not feeling that way anymore. Like, that's really not an experience I have anymore. So let me see. Lisa's saying making myself unavailable for overwhelm was a game changer for me. I love that, Lisa, because especially, and you talked about this last week in the challenge, like as you up level and as you claim more for your life and decide to actually let in everything you said you wanted, it can feel like, Abraham Hicks talks about, we're going to do a seminar at some point on how to get rid of all the things that you've manifested so fast in your life. Because I know it can feel that way. And I know you've kind of had that experience too, right? From knowing part of your story of like, things will start coming in so fast, opportunities come so fast, clients come so fast, and it can be like, oh my gosh, how do I even handle all this? And part of it is that decision that you're not available for overwhelm. So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about how to manage your sales activities in accordance with your energy cycle, which is such a game changer if you're not familiar with that either. So, and then also, hey, if you're joining on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, pop me a comment so I know you're here, and let me know too, especially if you're not a client of mine, like I want to know where you're at. Is this something that is time management, is productivity, is that something you struggle with or not? Let me know in the comments, because I just want to get a temperature read of where everybody's at. And I know Lori, the productivity queen, is here on LinkedIn and probably has some things to add too, which is great. So again, I wanted to get into this today for you. And I'm not going to get too into this story because it's kind of an embarrassing story, but I shared in my keynote on feminine time management practices. And I remember literally being on a stage years ago. I was supposed to deliver a training to a group of my peers. We were all in sales coaching and sales mentoring together. And I had won an award, and I was supposed to deliver a training on time management and how to do it better. And I literally stood on stage and I cried, like, true story, so embarrassing, in front of a couple hundred people, because I felt like I was supposed to be good at this. Like I had won the award. I was, standing on stage supposed to teach them stuff. And I felt like I could not figure this out for the life of me. So when I learned these three things, this shifted everything for me. And I'm so excited to share it with you because that's no longer the experience. So first thing I would say is stop trying to manage time. Like that is the first thing. Stop trying to manage time. And this is where even that phrase, time management, I used that phrase in the title for today. Thank you so much for the hearts. I used that phrase in the title for today because that's what people understand when we talk about it. So you got to speak people's language, but you can't manage time. You can only manage yourself. Okay. So if you're taking notes, like Mary with pen and paper, you cannot manage time. You can only manage yourself. And one key piece of managing yourself, there's a lot that goes into this, but to keep it really high level for this morning's live, one key piece of managing yourself is how you talk to yourself about your time and about how much you do or don't have. So I heard this again so often last week from these beautiful, ambitious, like heart-centered women who wanted to make more sales, wanted to bring in more money, all of that. But there was this underlying theme that they didn't even realize was blocking them, was that they already felt so overwhelmed that they thought, if I take on more, like if I make more money, I'm going to be even more overwhelmed. Who can relate? Does anybody have that showing up for them right now? Where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to manage what I already have, let alone if I were to bring in more money, more clients, more sales, I would like never have time for my family, never have time for my health. So just let me know where you're at in the comments if that's something showing up for you. Mary's saying yes. Okay, Caitlin, good morning. So here's one key thing with mindset. Oh, let me check in and see comments here. Okay, so Kim on YouTube. Hey, you've noticed when you feel it's heavy, you put it down. You'll pick it up when your energy's higher. Thank you for that permission. Yes, so powerful. Such a game changer, Kim. Lori's saying task management is my go-to verbiage. I like that way of putting it. So here's what I would say if that, Elizabeth is saying yes. Okay. So yes, there's multiple women on here feeling like, how can I, like, if I have more sales, if I have more clients, I'm going to feel even more overwhelmed. In terms of mindset, here's something huge. Just stop. And it sounds simple, but it really makes the biggest difference. I literally do not permit the words overwhelmed or busy to come out of my mouth ever. Ever. And I know it sounds so simple, but I used to run around all the time saying, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm just so overwhelmed. Or like, I'm so busy with all this. I don't have time for that. And sure enough, like we've talked about this before on these lives. And I talk about this with my clients. What you describe, you prescribe. So you have to remember, you think you're just describing the current scenario, but what you're doing is you're giving your subconscious mind a command to make that your reality. And so I got super intentional about this when I became a mom last year, because I was like, it already felt like so much. And then to think about trying to like keep a human alive on top of it felt so, it was like, how is this all going to happen? And it was just a moment of decision where it was like, I'm not up for that. Like, I am not up for that experience of being a mom and growing this business to be unpleasant. And so I just decided I was going to stop saying those things. Not available for overwhelm. And then one of my mentors, I love this, she would always say, busy is boring. Like, I never say now that I'm busy. I never say I'm busy. I will say I'm in demand. So I would invite you, if if you found yourself saying I'm so busy or like falling into that trap, busy is low vibe. Busy means you're running around doing a bunch of stuff that's not really productive. I would think about the language like I'm in demand. Or one of the things that I used to, this was someone I used to work with, and he was a top producer in our company. And his go-to phrase was, I have all the time in the world. And I remember when he said that, that was such a game changer for me, because I would look at his schedule from afar and I would say, you're raising kids, you're a leader in this company, you're managing a big team. Like, how do you have all the time in the world? But he had taught himself that that was his experience of his day. And he always had this very relaxed, easy, focused, present energy. Does anyone say that right now? So here's that Lori's saying, I say I'm active. Yeah, it's like whatever puts you in the driver's seat of your day, because it's not going to change what's going on for you. But what if you decided to approach your day today with that energy of either I'm in demand, like, wow, I'm really in demand today, instead of I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed, because suddenly, again, you shift into the driver's seat, or I have all the time in the world. And people will come to me, like my clients or team will come and they'll be like, oh, I know you're so busy. Do you have a second? I'm like, I'm not busy. Like, don't put that word on me. I'm not busy. I got plenty of time. We're good. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't set boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't get clearer on how to condense the amount of time things take, because things take way longer when you're stuck in low vibe thinking. Things take way longer when you're not clear on your vision and what you're creating. So it's not that we're not constantly looking for ways to speed up the process here, but when you have that energy of I have all the time in the world, everything shifts. So Lisa's saying, so true, imprinting the right language is essential. Yes, you know this, Queen. This is so true. By the way, Laura, Nancy, good morning. Welcome. So that's your first one. Your second is I'm a big fan of this. I don't use a to-do list. And I found that when I use a to-do list, and here's what I'll say, like, do what works for you. Totally do what works for you. If a to-do list is working for you and you feel in control and you feel like on top of your day and you get it done, then do that, sister. For me personally, I have found that putting things on a to-do list is a fast path to overwhelm because suddenly you see everything and you're like, oh my gosh, there's 8 billion things on here. And what do I start with first? And there's a consultant and a speaker named Kevin Kruse, and he did this study where he took 100 straight A students, Olympic athletes, and millionaires. And he looked at what is it that they did differently than everybody else to achieve those top results in their space. And he said the one thing that they had in common was that not a single one of them kept a to-do list. If something needed to get done, it went on their calendar. And part of why I love that. So actually, let me know in the comments, do you do a to-do list or do you calendar things? For me, when I started using my calendar as my to-do list, everything got so much easier because you're actually taking into account how long things take. So it's not saying like I have, 10 things on my list and I don't really know how long they take, but I'm just going to work on them until they're done. And again, that is one path, but I like to actually know like how long is something going to take? Because then I can account for it on the calendar. And how available am I to give time to this? So like today, when I was looking at what I was doing and some things I had to get done, I was like, you know what? This particular task could take an hour if I let it, but I've only got 15 minutes, like to actually cut off at the time I want to cut off and move into mom mode this afternoon. I'm going to give it 15 minutes and that's the time I have available for it. And so it's going to get done in that amount of time. It's going to have to. Mary is saying, doesn't your calendar turn into a list? Yeah, it kind of does. But the difference is that, again, you're taking into account time. And so you understand time blocking. It's the same concept. A little hack that I use is I color code my calendar with the different types of activities that I'm doing. So if it's a sales related activity, it's green for money. If it's a meeting with somebody else, it's yellow. And then if something, and I also put my personal tasks in there that are like not me meeting with someone, but it's something that needs to get accomplished that day. As I complete things, I gray them out on my calendar. And this actually really helps because I've got an assistant who helps me manage my calendar as well. So what happens is when something is completed, it gets grayed out. And then I can do a quick glance. So everything doesn't get done every day. Like I'm going to tell you, I'm going to two straight things. It's a beautiful day, but probably a rare day where everything gets grayed out that same day. What often happens is things need to get shuffled or moved throughout the day, depending on what comes up, what happens. Maybe I needed more time for something than I gave it. And so if it's not completed, I keep it in that color and then you just move it to another day in your calendar if you use Google Calendar or Outlook. To finish it up. Does that make sense? So it's an easy way to look at your week, like with a bird's eye view and say, okay, like this is this didn't get done today, so I got to move it to tomorrow, etc. Mary, that's looking at that makes sense. Awesome. Eric, good morning. Lori saying being time conscious is huge in helping get it all done. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I love how you said that too, Lori. Your day is a puzzle and your tasks are the pieces of your daily puzzle. It's that way of thinking about it, right? Like, I'm going to do this here. This came up. So now I'm going to move. I had intended to do like inbox management here, but this came up and it's bigger priority. So I'm going to move inbox management to this other time. So you're taking into account what you're saying yes or no to based on everything else that's scheduled in your day. Laura's saying, I'm going to try this with my calendar. I just listed out my to-do things this morning on my journal. Yeah, try it. You're so welcome. Let me know how it goes. I think it'll really, really help. And then the third piece, and again, this is very high level today. Here's the third piece. And I know we've got men and women on this live this morning, which is wonderful. I'm going to speak directly to my ladies here. But as a man, if you're watching this and you work with women, which I'm sure you do, or you have women in your life, this is so important to know. This is so important to know. And this is what probably out of all of these was the most freeing for me when I learned this, is that as women, we do not run on the same hormonal cycle as men. Now that part should be pretty obvious, okay? But oftentimes we do not equate that to how to best manage our sales and our business activities. So as a woman, your hormones cycle roughly every 30 days. Now this is whether you're actively menstruating or not. So I should give a disclaimer, like, we're going to talk about your period right now. Okay. We're going to talk about hormones. We're going to talk about your period. Men's hormones cycle every 24 hours. Now, the kind of cool thing with this is, as a woman, your hormones cycle roughly every 30 days, which is with the lunar cycle. As a man, your hormones cycle roughly every 24 hours with the solar cycle, which is really interesting with the sun. So what happens though is in our business world, and I know for me in sales for so many years, like when I worked for somebody else, we're kind of expected to show up the same way every day, right? Who can relate to this? Where it's expected that you're going to show up and in the morning, you're going to do your prospecting, and in the afternoon, you're going to do your presentations. And then and then later at the end of the day, you're going to close out and you're going to do your inbox management. Who can relate to that? Where you're expected to show up the same way every single day. Thank you for the hearts. And this is, so it's kind of, but here's the thing, as a woman, that's not actually energetically how you're wired. So that works really well with a man's hormonal cycle, because again, his hormones will run through a full cycle every 24 hours, which means that throughout the day, there's a period of time where he feels most inclined to do outward facing work. There's another period of time where he's super focused on and inward on getting things done. There's another period of time where he's more relaxed, at ease. And for my ladies with male partners, this is a great time of day to ask for what you want, which tends to be in mid to late afternoon. But as a woman, it's different. And as a woman, those same periods of time that for a man would last a few hours, they last roughly a week. So is this making sense to all of you? And again, I'm not going to do I've got a deep dive training in this in my monthly membership. She sells all access. So you can grab that. If you're a 10K club member, you've already got access to that. And if you want to get the membership, elysearcher.com/training, and I'll teach you how to really align your sales activities with your energy cycle. I'm getting a yes and a thumbs up from Mary. Awesome. But so as a woman, and every woman's energy cycles are different too. So I would say, start tracking. If you're not currently tracking your energy cycle, track it. But as a woman, there's about a week where you're more suited to be outward facing, to do prospecting activities, to do sales presentations. There's another full week in there where you're more inclined to be inward. You're more inclined to be detail focused. You've actually got this workhorse-like energy where you're designed to get things done and to complete things. There's another roughly 1 week where you might want to kill people and not talk to anybody and just be totally inward. And I used to make myself so wrong for, actually what happened was I was so out of touch with my body and with my energy that I wasn't even aware of it. But if I did have a day where I noticed I wasn't feeling quite as good as I was the day before, I would make myself wrong, and it would be like, push through it, just get it done. Now, sometimes we just have to do that. right? Sometimes we just have to do that because that's life and it is what it is. But when you learn this and when you can start to track your energy cycles and with as much control as you have over your activities, like I know what my energy cycles are. So I can look at my calendar and say, this week is the week we're doing a webinar because I'm naturally going to have my energy more in a place where it's like, it's easier to connect with people. It's easier to show up. I'm feeling more magnetic that week. And then there's going to be another week where I probably don't want to schedule a whole lot of outward facing activity, a whole lot of presentation type activity, because I'm naturally designed at that point to be more inwards, more reflective, more looking at what didn't work this past month and what do I want to change and shift. And then for those of you who are like not my super analytical spreadsheet, detail oriented type people, which like I'm raising my hand, that's not me so much. There is a week out of the month where you're going to be more inclined to do that, to do detail oriented work, to do that task completion type work. And when you can schedule that during that period of the month as much as you can, it's going to be so much easier for you. So does this make sense? Do we have questions on this? Again, this is like, it's more tactical today than we've been doing, but I had so many women ask me about this last week and the challenge of like, how do I get out of overwhelm? How do I make more money, and more sales, but do it in a way where it's not requiring more time? And what I often find is that we're inefficient because we don't know these things, because we don't know about how to work with our bodies instead of against them. We don't know about how important language is in terms of how productive you are or are not going to be. We don't know about how to use our calendar instead of a to-do list. So does this make sense? Do you have questions? Was this helpful? Like, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up here because we've got a team meeting momentarily. But if anybody has questions on this or an a light bulb moment, type it in the comments. Also, again, if you want a deep dive training in this, in She Sells All Access, my monthly membership, I do a deep dive into specifically what the 4 phases are of your energy cycle as a woman, the specific activities to schedule in that time. Oh, Laura, I'm so glad it was helpful to you. And it's really, to me, it's about falling back in love with yourself and how you're wired and learning that as you do that, you will naturally increase your productivity, your sales, your income, etc. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you want to join the membership, ElyseArcher.com/training. And then tomorrow, I'm really excited because I'm going to be teaching and talking about what healing has to do with sales and why healing yourself will actually grow your sales. So it's powerful. I hope you'll join me for it. Laura's saying, I felt my energy shift and not make myself feel wrong for this. Yes, it's the whole mission of She Sells and what we're doing here is helping you learn to trust yourself again, to fall back in love with how you're wired, with your, thank you for the hearts, with your intuition, with your natural wiring, and knowing that when we do that, when we get back into alignment, everything else you want, the money, the clients, the opportunities flow so much more easily because it's not that upward, like that uphill battle, kind of like Kim said, when it feels heavy, put it down. Yeah. So we want to learn how to make it feel light, how to make it feel easier, and aligning your activities and your day this way will really help with that. So I hope this helped. Let me know too, like send me a DM if this more tactical is helpful, if you want more of this. I charted out the lives every week to be more like, we've got one day that's sales and tactical. We've got another day that's mindset. We've got a day that's manifestation and energy. We've got a day that's wealth and money, like removing money blocks. So if this is helpful in this structure and format, let me know. I'm here to serve. All right, my friends, wishing you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful start to your week. Love you so much. Thank you for being here. And I will see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern. Bye for now.